After watching this episode and seeing the final part of this episode with the ending song and everything, I feel very bad for Yoon Yoon. I mean, she's a character that was introduced a couple episodes ago in Season 2 of Konosuba, but it's really sad when you see when she pops up, like, in the episode, and everybody's already gone or left, and she just wants to spend time with, Megumin and everyone else and have friends. It's kind of sad, especially when you see that little message at the end of the episode when she's like, I have friends and all that, and I was like, damn, that's really fucking sad. I feel really bad for Yoon Yoon, I really do. But with that being said, though, this episode was fucking hilarious. Veneer and Wiz combo, absolutely a blast. I did not know I needed Wiz and Veneer in my life. I did not know I needed these two characters to have interactions in Konosuba. When I see these two just interacting with each other, and Wiz is buying all these useless fucking objects and shit that can cause calamities, and then Veneer is like giving her a murderous glance like, what the fuck are you doing? And when he just fucking knocks her ass out, I was just having a good blast with just seeing these two characters interact. But then the Aqua and Veneer scene, the combo between these two in this episode, I'm like, oh my god. I am so glad Veneer is alive. I'm so glad this character wasn't just killed off, because he's just too good of a character, and just seeing the way he was just acting with Aqua, and how Aqua was putting him down, and how he was putting Aqua down, calling her a fucking beginner priest. Yeah, this man just went pure on savage. He's calling Aqua a beginner priest. She's a straight up beginner priest. And then all of a sudden we see Veneer, his body's cracking and shit. And she's like, oh, your body seems to be in bad shape. Oh, he's like, oh, this is just, a puppet and all that. And as we know, his real body's in the mask. And when the body crumbles down and he's reforming again, Aqua's trying to interrupt him while he's speaking, ripping off the mask. I was just having a blast seeing these two characters interact and seeing Aqua and Veneer just arguing back and forth. And, Veneer putting her down, how he walked through her barrier and all that, and he's like, oh, it must have been a shitty barrier by a beginner priest. I mean, I'm just so powerful, I walked through it and I didn't feel a thing. And then Aqua's getting all mad and just yelling at him and saying things at him. I was like, yo, Konosuba, like, if you want to have a good start to an episode, this is the way to do it. So, besides that, let's talk about the actual start, like the beginning part of the episode with Aqua and Kazuma. This scene, I did not expect a scene like this. I mean, I figured something might carry over from last week's episode, especially what happened with Kazuma and how, his holy sword Excalibur was very short, and now we know why he wanted such a big sword. And seeing how this episode started off with Aqua and Kazuma kind of being nice to each other, I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, it's really creepy. And when you see Megumin just freaking out and all that, I'm like, yep, that's me. That's us, the audience. Like, that's all of us that was watching the beginning part of this episode. That was us, the audience, just freaking out about Aqua and Kazuma just being nice to each other, and how Aqua is fucking up the tea all the time. It's like, oh, it was just purified water. Here, I'll go remake it. And then, it's constantly back and forth the same exact thing. I'm like, something very creepy is going on here, something that should not be going on, and eventually it was explained. And when we got the little bit of backstory from Darkness of what was going on, why this scene is happening, I honestly thought the reason why Cosmo was acting like this was thanks to, how his dick was just pretty much made fun of by Aqua, but it wasn't the case. What really happened was greed. Money. We knew in last week's episode that Kazuma, he's been making a different amount of items. He's been making stuff from his original world, and he's going to be selling them and making a profit. And as we know, Kazuma as a character and Aqua and all of them, they need money. They really need money. But Aqua's always spending it and just throwing it out there, and just it becomes completely pointless to go on ventures because of Aqua. She always just spends everything. Well, Kazuma finally's found a way to gain money to make sure everybody lives in comfort. And because of finding out that all these things could sell for such a high price, he starts acting all fancy like he's already rich and he just owns so much, and that is why Aqua and Cosmo started having this combo with each other about tea and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god. But then, probably one of the funniest scenes of Konosuba, not this episode, of Konosuba, was when Aqua's like, I can already see you slapping people with the wads of cash. And you just see Aqua just trying to slap Cosmo, like, imaginary slapping him with cash. And then fucking Cosmo, he's going with it. He's like, just doing this back and forth with his head. And I'm like, oh my god. That's happening. This is happening. Like, I need this. I now need to see Cosmo doing this to someone. I need Cosmo to actually have wads of cash and just slapping someone with it. I really do. Because after seeing this imaginary interaction between these two characters and seeing how Aqua's doing this and Cosmo's going along with it, I'm like, this is funny as fuck. Like, I really need to see Cosmo have a big wad of cash and just start slapping someone. I like slapping either Aqua or something. I would love to see that shit. It would be fucking hilarious if that actually happened in Konosuba. So, once all this is said and done, eventually Megumin gets upset, and she's like, what's going on here, all that? What about adventures? You can't, just take down the Demon King thanks to money and hiring people. We need to, go through a life or death situation. And over time, eventually, Cosmo's like, oh, it's because my, neck hurts a lot. I did die, my neck got completely fucking broken, and so I just don't feel like doing anything. So, Megumin gets the bright idea, like, hey, let's go to a hot spring, let's have some fun. And so we have a hot spring episode coming up, so we're gonna have mandatory fan service happening very soon, probably in next week's episode. However, though, this episode ends off on a very funny moment thanks to Megumin's idea, and that is darkness. Now, we know how darkness is. We know she loves pain, we know she loves, people mistreating her, because just that's a part of her character and personality, what she's into. And the funny thing is when they're fucking riding off to the hot spring, they're like in the middle of a desert. You see these creatures, these monsters just charging towards the carriage, and we found out it's thanks to Darkness's actual armor that is attracting these monsters over to them. And what was funny is that these characters and these bodyguards and stuff, they're supposed to guard Aqua, Cosmo, and all of them. They're like, we gotta do this, you stand back, you're the person riding the carriage. But the whole reason why this is happening in the first place is thanks to Darkness attracting all of them. And when she's just jumping out and shit, and she's trying to, save the day or, tackle against these monsters. We know how Aqua is. She just wants to experience pain. She wants to get hit really hard. And these guys, these bodyguards are like, oh my god, she's such a courageous warrior. She's, using her ability to attract all the aggro onto her. She's so nice. She's such a good person. And then fucking Cosmo's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. He's like, no, it's not that. And he's just constantly saying sorry in his mind because he knows how fucked up this situation is and how they're causing this. And then when everything is done, and after ropes are thrown by this dude, a fucking Darkness jumps in the way and gets tied up. And I'm like, oh my god. And she's just sitting there having the time of her life. And he's like, oh, she did that because, she didn't want me to get hurt. She wants to aggro all for herself. I'm like, oh my god. And Cosmo's like, I'm so sorry. And he just okay, I gotta admit, that fucking scene was hilarious. I had a fun time watching this episode, as you can see by the smile on my face. I can never get enough of Konosuba. I love Darkness, I love Megumin and Aqua, and I also love the scenes to when Aqua's getting picked on by Cosmo, when he's just putting her down and he just starts pinching her cheeks. Just very cute scenes, very funny scenes, and I'm just glad this series airs every single Wednesday. And it gives me such joy and a good happy feeling every time I watch this on Wednesday. So yeah, how do you all feel about this episode? Are you ready for that fan service hot spring episode next week? I want to be honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of hot spring episodes, but since this is Konosuba, I'm going to assume it's going to be in the, traditional way of Konosuba fashion. It's probably going to be fucking entertaining and different from the traditional, hot spring episodes. So, I'm looking forward to next week's episode. I really am. We'll see where it goes, but I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.